This is where I finally decided I'm going to place the aquarium. Not the exact spot, but in this general area. Mostly because it is in a high traffic area in our house. It's like a little computer desk. It's very close to the living room, close to the kitchen. It is close to the front door, so it's going to get a lot of view, a lot of traffic near it. I also selected this spot because it is not in direct sunlight at all back here. It's kind of in the middle of our house, and our house is fairly bright when we open up all the blinds. So I wanted to make sure that it was away from direct sunlight because I've read that that's going to cause a lot of algae problems. I did purchase a few things to go with it now that I'm getting ready to start setting this thing up. One of the things that I got was this Fluval Edge filter, heater. It's a little 25 watt heater. It, I think, was a little under 20 bucks. Ordered it online. And it's designed for these tanks. The only thing that I dislike about it is the fact that it's black. And it stands out against the white background. So if you look there on the right hand side in the back, you can see the heater. It stands out a little bit, but I'm hoping with some decor and plants it'll kind of conceal it. On the left there, you can also see that I added a little something to the intake. That is a pre-filter sponge that I ordered, and it maybe $2-3 bucks. So I went ahead and got that as well. This is supposed to help quite a bit if I get shrimp, preventing them from getting sucked up, some of the small fish, hopefully any sand particles that are floating around, also any pieces of plants. I don't want anything to get in there and clog up the filter and break the filter. So these are cheap enough. I would assume I can rinse them occasionally, and if it gets bad, just go ahead and replace it. At $2 or $3, figured, can't hurt. So I'm going to go ahead and at this point get some things set up. I'll show you a little bit of that, and I'll go ahead and start with the substrate that I selected as well. After doing some research, I decided to go ahead and utilize pool filter sand. It was cheap. I think this bag, it's 50 pounds. Silica sand was 10 bucks at a local pool supply chain. It's made here in Florida. I can't really utilize a lot of the sand around here in any way because it's limestone based and pH levels and all that crazy stuff. And when looking at some of the stuff at the pet shops, the aquarium stores, it just seemed expensive, and every time I would look up any information, there would be problems with the various types. This seems to be the most consistent when it comes to selecting a sand. It just has to be cleaned really well. One thing to note is on the back it did say something about being very cautious about inhaling the dust, and prolonged inhaling of this dust can cause respiratory problems. So I kind of want to do a little research on that as far as it being healthy for the fish now. But at this point I'm still going to go ahead and clean it, see what color it is, you know, and just kind of judge for myself if it's going to work out. I'm hoping it will, because it'll save me some money in the long run, because this tank is getting a little pricier than I thought. But I'm going to go ahead and start now and clean it up, and let's see how it looks. So I'm borrowing my daughter's princess bucket. It's the only thing I could find that I knew was clean. I am going to go ahead and clean the sand the way that I have read online that you should clean it. I'm going to do it a little bit at a time, I guess, and see how it goes. I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible because it is Florida in late July and it's already 10 o'clock or so, so it's getting hot quick. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some in there and use the water just to kind of flush it out from the bottom out and let it overflow a little bit, dump some of the debris off the top. I'll probably fast forward through a lot of this because you don't really want to watch someone rinsing sand. Alright, so already just looking at it, it's actually nice looking sand. It's fairly bigger pieces, so I don't think it'll cause problems with the gills once I rinse out some of the powdery stuff. It's a nice color. It's kind of what I hoped. It's off-white with a few little dark specks, but it actually looks very natural, very nice. So I'm hoping this cleans up and looks good in the aquarium. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of push the hose to the bottom and make sure it kind of washes up and some of the loose stuff kind of overflows out of the top, the really light stuff, the debris. And then I'll start kind of mixing it around and hopefully get the rest of it out. Hopefully you can see the water got cloudy pretty quick, but I'm hoping that'll clear up soon. From what I've read, it'll probably take about 20 minutes or so. So once again, the video is gonna speed up. So at this point I kept dumping off the top little bit of water where some fine particles were floating around. There's a little bit more, but I think it's about done. The main thing I'm worried about is obviously those fine particles getting caught and irritating the fish's gills, and then also you don't really want it to float up and get caught in the filter from what I was reading, so I'm a little concerned about that. But it didn't take much to clean it out. Here shortly I'll go ahead and place it in the aquarium and see if I'm going to need more. From my understanding, I'm going to need about 2 inches for plants. So that's the goal, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It's a small tank, so I might do 1.5 because I don't want to eat up all the space with sand. So now that I have the selection of placement, I'm going to go ahead and start setting things up. I don't want to turn everything on yet, obviously, because there's no water. I don't want to turn on the heater without water in there. I don't want the pump to run without water. but I do want to get everything in place so when I start putting the substrate in, it is set. One of the things I went ahead and got was this little guy here, because I'm going to need a couple of more outlets where this is placed. And I got this one because the sides will swivel. So I can point it behind the aquarium, keep the cables hidden as much as possible. And I'm going to do my best to create the little droop loops, or drop loops, drip loops, whatever they're called. So that way, if for some odd reason water does start spewing everywhere, other than making a mess all over our little office here and flooding everything, hopefully it won't cause any kind of electrical fire or problem that way. So I'm going to go ahead and install this and some of the other things. I'll probably fast forward through a lot of this stuff and just kind of slow down and pause when necessary. Alright, so one reason I also got this is it's a surge protector. So I don't want anything in Florida with all the lightning that we have. There are a lot of surges. I don't want to fry the equipment. That is very difficult to deal with. If you got live fish going and trying, in the middle of the night to get some sort of air circulation. So hopefully that's going to help prevent that kind of stuff and won't be a problem there. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and take the back off and pull some of the wires through, feed them through. I don't want a lot of the wire to come out. For one, it's unsightly, and two, I want to be able to create that drip loop on all of them. I'll probably just tie them all together in one little string and plug them in, or make sure I have the space, and then I'll kind of find placement for the base and put the aquarium back on, and hopefully it's going to look nice. I think everyone's going to enjoy it in this location. So I think the easiest thing to do is just run all the cables completely out. Then I'll push them back in or pull them back up and leave them kind of coil up inside. That way I'll get the desired length I want for all of them. So after putting it in place and realizing the shape of the light adapter, the AC adapter, it doesn't sit as far back as I'd really like to conceal the plugs. So I might get some sort of decorative, vase or plant or something like that to kind of conceal this on the desk. So to get it to slide back a little bit, I'm going to slide it over a little more, causing the plugs to be visible. Not thrilled about that. I might look into some sort of option down the line. But for now, this will work. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put the aquarium back on, get it about as close to center as possible, get everything kind of connected. Oh, I guess I should check and make sure the light works. Yes. So the surge protector I bought works. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and put everything back in and try to get the wires cleaned up in the back, that kind of stuff. Alright, so that is the placement for now. That's where it's going to go. I'm going to start with the substrate next, and hopefully that looks good. I did originally kind of want to put it up on this shelf area here, but it was way too narrow, and I was afraid it wouldn't support the weight, but that would have been cool to get more of a viewing angle. But so far I'm happy with this location. Like I said, I'll find something to conceal that plug in some way, that outlet. But let's go ahead and get started with substrate. Well, that half bucket of substrate's clean, the pool filter sand. I'm going to go ahead and add some to the tank now and see if it's going to be enough. Got a towel down under my daughter's handy dandy princess bucket there. She's going to be a little disappointed because the weight of the sand and all that cracked it. But cheap little beach bucket, no big deal. I think she has 50. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding this stuff to the tank. I have a really clean spade shovel type gardening shovel I'm going to use. I ordered some aquascaping tools, some cheaper ones that will come in soon, but for now I'm just going to kind of use my hands and move the sand around and get an idea of the depth and go from there. I might have to do another half bucket just because it doesn't look like all that much. Let's go ahead and get started. The one thing I'm noticing very quickly is this opening at the top of the aquarium that some people complain about being too small is a little tight for things like this. It would be much easier with smaller tools. It's going to require a lot of patience and small tools. Alright, so I have that half a bucket or so of sand in there. It looks like a good depth to me. It looks very natural. It's a darker sand than once it got wet than it looked when I first took it out of the box. I'm going to kind of measure the depth to get an idea, but I really like that depth. I would hate to make it much deeper because once again I don't want to lose all the cubic space I have there. It's about 1.5 inches, give or take. So I think I'm going to stop there for now with the substrate. See how it goes. I'm going to see how it looks under light real quick. So it's really hard to see because the glare. I'll lift this up. I'm sure it'll look a little different once it gets fully submerged. But there's the substrate. I kind of like that depth. I like the color. The color looks very natural, very beach sand. What I'll do is go ahead and figure out the decor. Live plants. So I think I'm going to go with some sort of stones and then live plants. So if you have any suggestions whatsoever on that stuff, please leave some feedback. Go ahead and comment. Like, share, whatever YouTubers do. And also, go ahead and subscribe if you want to keep watching this, process as I go through this and as I learn. Like I said, this is a lot of steps, and I'm trying to learn as I go. So, feel free to subscribe and keep an eye out for more videos. Hopefully this stuff will be helpful, beneficial for someone. And, see you next time.